All right, let's talk about something that's becoming super important, the AI audit trail. I mean, we've got AI doing all sorts of things for us, right? But what happens when we need to look back and figure out exactly what it did and why? That's what we're digging into.
You know how it is? When a person makes a mistake at work, there's a process, right? You can follow the paper trail, you can pull up the emails, look at the documents, maybe interview a few people. You can actually retrace the steps to figure out what went wrong. It's something we totally take for granted.
But what happens when it's an AI that messes up? Yeah, suddenly it's not so simple. What's the paper trail for an algorithm? Who do you interview when the decision was made in like a fraction of a second inside some super complex system? That's the huge question, the big challenge we're going to unpack right now.
Okay, so let's start with this idea of the AI black box. This is really at the heart of the problem. Why is it so hard to figure out what an AI was thinking? So look at this. On the one hand, with human error, you've got clear steps. You find the documents, you talk to people, it's a straight line. But on the other side, with AI, well, it's a total mystery. The algorithm is opaque. You can't just ask it why and get a clear answer. The trail just goes cold. Instead of a signed document, you have a bunch of math. And that's not exactly helpful when you're trying to figure out what went wrong.
So since it's such a tough problem, you might be asking, why bother? Well, let's talk about why we absolutely need these audits. This isn't just a nice to have, it's crucial.
It really boils down to three big things. First, there's compliance. You know, regulators want to know that your AI isn't doing something illegal, like being biased in loan applications. You have to be able to prove it. Then there's security. Is your trading bot going rogue because of a bug, or did a hacker just get in? You have to know, and you have to know fast. And finally, accountability. This one's huge. If an AI makes a critical mistake, think self-driving cars, you can't just shrug and say the computer did it. You need to know exactly who or what is responsible.
And here's the bottom line. Without that trail, you're essentially flying blind. You've got all this risk from using a powerful tool, but you have zero control or visibility into how it's making its decisions. It's a recipe for disaster, really.
Okay, so we've laid out the problem, and yeah, it's a big one. But the good news is, it's not impossible to solve. So let's shift gears and talk about the solution. How do we actually build this digital trail?
And the answer, as you might have guessed, is what we call an AI audit trail. The idea itself is pretty straightforward. It's a digital record, a breadcrumb trail, if you will, of every single thing an AI system does. But here's the key. It has to be readable and retraceable by a human. That's the tricky part, making it something we can actually understand.
So, that sounds great in theory, but how do we do it in the real world? Let's look at the actual tools that create this kind of transparency.
It really comes down to a three-part toolkit. Think of it in layers. The foundation is log tracking. This is the nitty-gritty stuff. It records everything the bot does, every action with a timestamp, just raw data. But raw data is messy, right? So the next layer is audit dashboards. These tools take all that data and turn it into something a person can actually look at. Graphs, charts, alerts, it helps you see the patterns. But the top layer, this is the really cool part. Explainable AI, or XAI. This is what helps us answer that why question. It's a special kind of AI that can look at another AI's decision and basically say, okay, here's the specific data that mattered most in making that choice. It's a massive game changer.
And I think this is so important to grasp. This isn't about spying on the AI or just catching it when it messes up. It's about genuinely understanding it. When you understand how it works, you can start to trust it, make it better, and, rely on it without just crossing your fingers and hoping for the best.
So this leaves us with a pretty big question to chew on. If every single thing an AI does leaves a perfect trail, does that mean we can truly trust it? Having visibility is one thing, but does knowing the what and the why automatically equal real trustworthiness? That's a question we're all going to have to grapple with as these bots become a bigger and bigger part of our world.